Hello and welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, I am Disco Kitty the Crappy Crafter. Today we're going to do something a little bit different, but it's something that I saw on Steve McDonald's Arts and Crafts, and I wanted to try it for myself. So, we know I like resin, love to play with resin, and we know that I like playing with casting compounds like the Resin Crete from JDiction. It has absolutely nothing to do with resin. I don't know why they call it resin, because it's not resin. It's casting compound. It is just exactly the same as this stuff. It is. It even comes in the same style bag, but you know, I'll leave the link below on the video where I pontificate on that and, you know, hate this stuff. I don't hate it. I love how it works. It works really, really well. I hate the fact that they call it Resin Crete, because it has absolutely nothing to do with resin. It doesn't cure the same. It doesn't feel the same. It doesn't do anything the same. So, let's put this in this and see what happens. Let's get into it. Okay, let's get started. We're gonna start with the 2-part epoxy resin from Let's Resin. How much did I make? I wanna say that I made like 60 milliliters. I don't remember. I wasn't really paying attention. I should have. I am gonna put in 2 scoops of the casting compound. And I probably should have put in a 3rd or maybe a 4th, because it's just not going to come out the way I expect it to. And I would love to let you listen to the bubbles, but I listened to it and you can't hear the bubbles. They're very, very quiet. They're not as nice and loud as just casting compound is when you put water on it. But yeah, I mean, it's resin. It's nice and white. It goes in pretty well, you know, like resin. We're going to color it using the pigments that came with the casting compound. Honestly, I don't know if these pigments were the ones that came with this casting compound or the one that came with the one from Teexpert, whatever it is, but they're both basically the same anyways. Like I said, I'll leave a link below to that, and maybe I'll put it in the cards. But this is going to fail in a big way, because I am not going to push the resin nearly far enough. I thought I was. I really thought I was, but I should have looked at the mold before I started using it, because I just don't remember what it looks like on the inside, and I do not fill it up good. And of course this one, it was a little bit obnoxious as well, but that's okay. There's nothing wrong with it. Comes out fairly well. I do like that the pigment works so well. I feel like the pigment colored the resin and not the powder, which, you know, go figure. You'll be able to see how some of the powder kind of settles to the bottom later on. Go figure. Here we're making just some plaster compound, or casting compound, whatever you want to call it. I'm gonna make it the consistency of milk, so it pours real nice. Goes into them molds real good. And now it's time to break things. Yeah, see, it's too thin. Some of the shapes in the casting compound were actually pretty strong, but it's a lot better with the resin. Much, much better with the resin. And like I'll say later, it's only been curing, it hasn't cured for its full 72 hours or whatever it is, so it's not fully cured, so it's still bendable. And look at that bubble! Made, of course, because of powder that wasn't completely mixed in. Breaky, 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 bendy! Yeah, the bendy is a lot better. If I'd let them cure completely, they might have broken, but oh, look at that poor lid. And it's sharp enough to cut too, so you have to be really careful with it. Not that I cut myself. I didn't. I was good. Alright. Gotta get it out. Get it out! I had completely forgotten there was a face on it. So that was a little surprising. A good surprise, of course. Trying to get all the flashing off. I'm not going to because I'm lazy. I'll take it off later. Yeah, the upper edge there where it catches bubbles anyways is really the only place where it feels different. But it still feels like resin. So, either way, I think it worked out pretty well anyways. Makes it a real nice white resin. Well, I'm not entirely sure what happened, but I didn't get quite what I was expecting. So here's the pumpkin. You know, it worked a lot like the other pumpkin that I made when I first got the molds, around this time last year. Even with the powder in the resin, it still feels like resin. It's smooth, it doesn't have any kind of a powdery texture or anything. It did have a lot of powder settle at the bottom, but I don't know. So for the thin stuff, it's too small, it's too thin to do something like earrings or something like that, But when you add the resin, let's get the same shape. When you add the resin, it's because it hasn't fully cured, it's only been like 30 hours. It bends, but it doesn't break. I say that as this one breaks. But it doesn't break in the same way. So it's a lot more sturdy, a lot more secure with the resin. But it's also a lot less white. So, let's see. Where's your matching counter? There it is. So here it is with just the casting compound. And here it is with the casting compound and the resin. So this one isn't as deeply white. But it does allow more light to shine through it, so I don't know. It's definitely it was just a thing. I didn't find any usefulness out of that at all. Although it does make a very nice white resin. And getting a nice white resin is kind of difficult. To be fair, you have to use a lot of pigment powder to do that. But if you use this stuff, you won't have to use as much pigment powder because you're basically using this as a pigment powder. But good thing to note is that, the pigments that came with the casting compound worked really well in it. This was the yellow and the red, made a pretty orange. So, it worked. But I don't see the point. So, I don't know. Maybe I didn't put enough powder in. Like I said, it still feels like resin. It didn't change the texture as far as I can tell at all. The only place where it may have changed the texture a little bit is here along these edges where it would have captured bubbles. But that might not necessarily be the powder doing that. That could just be the resin. Although here we can see where, I don't know, can you see? Yeah. We can see where there was a bubble that developed because of the powder. But, yeah, I don't know. I don't really see the point in doing that. Like I said, I gave her really nice white resin, but, maybe I just needed to add more. I don't know. I'm not gonna waste any more, especially not waste any more of my expensive resin playing with that. Although this cat butt is really cute. I do like the color of this butt. I'll have to fill it so that I can wear it. And then maybe I'll be able to see if there's really any kind of real difference. But, yeah. Other than that,
I guess we're done for the week. So until next week, stay safe.